Welcome back to The View from the Ninian. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, one of our favourite managers of recent times at Cardiff City, Neil Warnock. Neil, thank you so much for giving up your time and joining us today on The View from the Ninian. The best place to start is, how are you doing? How's life been post-Aberdeen? And congratulations on the new job. You must be very excited to get started at Torquay.
Yeah, well, it was only an off-chance meeting on a train coming back from London, and one of the new owners just said to me, "Would you consider helping us out, because we've no experience of football on the board?" And I just went to the couple of games at the end of last season, and it was so exciting. I really enjoyed it, and I thought, well, why not? I won't be managing. I won't have all that pressure. I'll help when I can. So it's nothing, no full time. I'm not getting paid for it. I just wanted to help them out, and I've helped. We picked a manager this week that I recommended to them. So hopefully we can have a decent season.
Yeah, and it's a bit closer to home as well, right? No more travelling for you.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit closer.
Thinking about Cardiff City, have you got eyes on any of the young Cardiff players to go in on loan there? Obviously, we've seen Kieran Evans in the National League this year doing quite well. You've got links to the club still, I assume. Anyone particularly you fancy?
I don't think I know enough about them, if I'm honest. What I would have to do is have a chat with the coaches. Are you with me? And see about. I'll probably have a word with Joe Rolls as well, because Joe's still there. He's the captain, isn't he? I know he's he was a super player for me, Joe. So I'm sure he'll give me a little bit of help if need be, about anybody that is looking to come out, because it's good for the youngsters to come and have some experience like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think getting men's football under their belt really helps them, doesn't it, when they go back to their parent clubs?
Yeah.
And obviously, the main reason we've got you here, you're heading back out on the road again for your one last time tour. It's coming to Cardiff on the 21st of June. The question we've got is this really it? Is this the end of your tours, and what could people expect from it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's I thought it's appropriate that my last one's at Cardiff, and we had a great one early doors at Cardiff, and but they said that they've had quite a lot of requests, so we said, why not? And I think it's just one of those things. I mean, I enjoy talking about my career, and then obviously the times at Cardiff, and one or two guests on the program, on the show as well. So it's such a special time for me, and so I am looking forward to it. It's always nice to still got a lot of friends down there in that area, and it's a nice part of the country. My daughter was there last week, and she seems to be going to Cardiff every other week for a wedding or a hen do or something.
So you made a lot of friends in the area then. I hear there's some exciting news about the tour. You've got a guest that you could potentially announce for us.
Well, I think when I was at Sheffield United, I signed a few good players, and one of the players that played for me was Rob Page. And so obviously, with being in Cardiff, I spoke to Rob. I obviously sent him messages throughout the last competition, and I was hoping that that they'd get through. And then I just said to him I was coming to Cardiff. Would he like to come to the show and come on the stage, and we could talk about a few different things? Are you with me? Just to give the fans, I'm sure they would like to know one or two things regarding behind the scenes in Wales, the Wales setup as well. So it seemed a good, and he jumped at the chance. He said he'd love to, and when you're busy like Rob, it's really good that he could take time out to come on the show.
Yeah, that'd be great. From our side, obviously, we can talk a little bit more about Cardiff City now, and obviously we're forever in the news, Cardiff City, with the managerial hullabaloo, shall we say. I kind of want to go back to when you came into Cardiff, really. And obviously, at the time that you came in, Cardiff was in quite a strange position. We'd come out of the red kit, all that kind of stuff. And you kind of came in and unified the club. But how was the club sold to you when you first came in as manager? What were those first meetings like, and what were you told about the club?
Well, I knew about the shirt issue. I mean, I'd actually had two. There were two clubs that were after me at that time, and decent clubs in the league, but it was never really concrete. And I spoke to Mehmet Dalman, and he never said anything about. What I liked about him, Mehmet, was he never said anything about, will you come for an interview? He straight away said, the job's yours, Neil. We'd like you to be manager, and I love that. And ever since that day, he's been nothing but straight with me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said to you, I know he gets criticisms like all the board do, when things aren't going well. But for me, he was just, I couldn't have had the success that I had at Cardiff without him being right in, he was at the front of everything that I did, really. And yes, I owe Mehmet an awful lot. But it was funny because I met him. He said, "Could you come to have a chat with me?" And he was in London. I was in Scotland at the time. So I said to him, "Yeah, I'll fly down tomorrow." And we agreed to meet at a gentleman's club. And then we were talking about what we were going to do. And obviously by that time, I think Vincent or somebody had found out that I was talking, I think it was Forest and somebody else, Blackburn or something like that. And I think they'd found out that I was talking to two other clubs and just panicked. So we had a chat, and then we were talking. He went off to speak to Vincent and came back and said Vincent would like you to sign something. So I said, no, Mehmet, so I put my hand out. I said, I've shook my hand, and he shook my hand. I said, I'm from Yorkshire. I said, that's my signature, that, me shaking my hand. And I said to him, having said that, I've shook a few chairman's hands. It's cost me millions over the years. But we had a laugh. So I got there was a serviette on the table. I got the serviette and I said, I will become your manager, Neil Warnock. I said, that'll please Vincent. And
that serviette could be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, we had a laugh about the serviette.
I should be in a museum somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess just jumping slightly ahead, obviously you've mentioned Mehmet there and being close to him. Do you still keep in touch with him? And I think you mentioned it there about the kind of board getting criticism, and obviously you mentioned that he's one of the best kind of owners you've worked with. Is there something that potentially the fans are missing? Because obviously there is a bit of criticism of him, but in your eyes, it seems like he's got the best interest of the club at heart.
Oh, he has. I mean, I thought he might have left a while ago, but he's kept it all together, really. And I mean, I can't speak highly enough of him. As I've said, he's one of the best, if not the best, chairman I've ever worked for. And I can't tell you what it's like as a manager when you're trying to do things and trying to get things. And who motivates the motivator?
Yeah.
Well, that was Mehmet. Mehmet was the one, because there were a few dark times, and he was always there, giving me sensible word, not nothing. He was never dramatic. He was always calm, influenced, and I like I said, he was one of the main reasons that we had success when we did.
That's really, really nice to hear. I think there is some love lost between him and the fans, and I think that's it's nice to hear that insight. Really, coming back to the tour, you've been obviously talking about some of your times at Cardiff and some of the players that kind of came and went during the club. Is there any of the players that kind of came in that surprised you and exceeded your expectations at the club? And were there any players that you kind of think back and go, God, I'd love to have seen a bit more from him?
I know. I saw that question, actually. They sent me a few other questions that you might ask me, but not really. Because if there were a player that could have given me more, they weren't in the team.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have been in the team. So I don't remember too much about that. I remember players who probably weren't, the top name, but came through and did. I mean, when I came to the club, your Gunnarssons of this world were a manager's dream.
Yeah.
And we had to stay. We were in trouble, weren't we, when I took over? With the red shirts and everything else. And what I tried to do, I tried to get the whole club together again. I went out into the valleys, really, and I did a few clubs, working men's clubs and things like that, talking to the fans, because yes, I probably only talked to a couple of hundred, but those couple of hundred would have told another couple of hundred,
exactly,
who told another couple. And so I thought it was important to go out there and put the club's point of view. And I think it just brought us together. And and I think, we put to bed the shirt issue. And, Vincent realised he'd made a mistake in that respect. But all credit to him. He changed it, and he took on board what we were talking about, and then we went forward. And I thought from that moment, survival that year and then building the team, I thought it was great. I mean, the first week I came in, I remember we played, I think it was West Bromwich Albion, top of the league. And I brought Sol Bamba and Junior Hoyler, who'd been waiting for me for 3 months now. And they were on the end of the phone. And I said, oh, we might be going to Forest, I'll keep you in touch. We might be going to Blackburn or whoever it was, the other two. And I'll keep you in touch. And because it got to September time, and they were saying, Gaffer, we've got to pay the bills soon. We need to be playing. And then because the Cardiff thing, I said, right, get on your bike. You're good at Cardiff. We're going to Cardiff. And because Sol ended up scoring the winning goal that night, the first game on television against, well, not West Brom. It was Bristol City, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Bristol, yeah.
Bristol City, which made it even better.
Even sweeter.
For the fans. And it was a great night. We played well. We deserved to win. But it was great to see everybody together again. And I remember looking round after the game when I went all round and clapped everybody, and I thought they've all gone home happy now. They all know we're together again and we've got a chance. And it was a really special evening that.
Yeah, kind of set the tone for your managerial career at Cardiff. Go on, Tom, sorry. Cut across you.
You've mentioned Vincent now, you've mentioned Mehmet, and we've seen since you've left Cardiff that other managers kind of failed to manage up in the club in some ways. Did you have a secret when it came to, dealing with Vincent and the other directors? Like, how would you communicate with them? Why did it work when you were at the club as opposed to some of the managers who've come in since?
Well, I mean, unless you're at the club, you don't really know. I mean, everybody deals with people in a different way, really. I mean, there were. I can't say there wasn't difficult times, but it was one of those things where sometimes I had to bite my tongue, and sometimes, I lent heavily on Mehmet, because you have to. It's not just Cardiff. Every club has problems like that regarding managing upstairs, and I think a lot of the younger managers now, it's probably more difficult than managing the team.
Yeah,
it's probably more difficult and you don't get any help when you're taking your exams and your qualifications. You don't get any help about how to manage upwards. You're really thrown in the lion's den, really. So I think you have to learn as you go on, and I tried to bite my tongue at times, but I always trying to get my point over. And yes, I didn't always get my own way. It was sometimes, the reason I said about Mehmet is if he didn't think it was right, he would tell me. And, and then we talk about it and we wouldn't do it if he didn't think it was right, whatever I was asking. And I think that's what you want. You don't want anybody to be just a yes man or just, agreeing with everything you say. And I think that's why we got on well, because the club was, the interest of the club was always at his heart, and it helped me in those times.
And we've heard about the people high up in the club here, but to you, was there any unsung heroes within Cardiff who don't quite get the limelight on or off the pitch?
Well, there's always a few of those, isn't there? I mean, I don't know what Steve's other name was, Steve, but he was the security man.
Yeah.
He always used to show me in, get me car parked, and then at the ground I'd see him about different things, and I also saw him out and about. I don't know whether Steve's still working at the club, but there's always some of the people that don't get a mention. But the back room, it was pretty good atmosphere at the back room, in the training ground anyhow. I don't think Ken Chew has as much to do now as he did, when I was there. But Ken was always, coming in and out and trying to work things out. He was always on the phone to Vincent and Steve Burley. Steve Burley kept coming in and out, and so there was a mixture. There was a Mark on the media side was very good. Was very good as well. So it was I thought there was some decent staff there, if I'm honest.
That's great to hear. And to jump a little bit a bit of a segue back into like on-field stuff. Was there a moment in that promotion season where you thought we've got a chance here? Was there like a sliding doors moment where you thought we're onto something special here as a squad?
I just thought by the end of the previous season, and the players we brought in, I remember coming down to Cornwall, where I'm sat here now, and having we played a few games, and then I had a barbecue at the house here, and funnily enough, the Huddersfield manager that's just left Huddersfield said that the Huddersfield team weren't very fit because all they did were go in pubs and play golf, and insinuating that that's all I did. He never mentioned that when we played. He never mentioned that when we played Leicester City, the third game this season, the stats man said, "Gaffer, it's the most any team of Huddersfield have ran in 3 years."
Wow.
So that's how unfit we were. So perhaps we should have gone a bit more in the pubs and played golf in that respect. But no, we had a barbecue down here, and we had a bit of fun with chipping a few golf balls, etc. And I just had a chat with them, and I just told them all that what we had was becoming special. The dressing room, the spirit, the characters we had. You know, Morrison. We had, like I said, Gunnarsson. We had people that, you know, I thought were going to score goals and make goals, and we just seemed to have a good blend. And I said, listen, I've had a few promotions, and when I look around at you guys sat here today, I know we've got a chance. Everybody's got to do. I'll fall out with some of you during the season. My door will always be open. You'll be able to come and ask me why I've done this, why I've done that. We've got to keep things together. But the one thing we have, or we will have, that other teams won't have, is that team spirit that we've built now over these last few months, and the ability that's in this squad now. I expect it to come out. And when things are bad, when things are doubtful in the game, we have to hang in there, grit our teeth. And that's what the championship's all about. And that's what we did, basically. I could see every one of the players around that barbecue area. Every one of them eyes were up looking at me. There were nobody looking down at the ground thinking, oh, I wish we could get out of here. Everybody were really clued into that. And then I remember saying to Jeppo and Blackie, I said, we've got a chance this year. We've got to overcome. There'll be a few more favourites than us, but we'll have to overcome that. But we've got a chance, and you know, it just went from strength to strength.
What was that like then? Obviously, you talk about the favourites. Fulham were breathing down our neck for most of that season, and obviously went to the final day. What was that feeling like? I still remember it now. I remember running onto the pitch and being so excited. What was that feeling like for you guys as a team? Obviously, you say it was a special group. It just looked like such a sense of relief from you guys that you actually done it.
Oh God! Well, it was relief. Nobody's saying it wasn't. I just think that I mean, Sean upset me because when we played, Derby County, we should never have had the game called off.
Snow game, yeah.
We saw somebody. I sent somebody down to the ground early morning, and they were shoveling snow into a mountain of snow in the car park with a lorry and that. They were shoveling snow, and then they were taking pictures of the stadium behind the big mounds of snow. Well, I mean, the pitch was playable. And then, Gary Rowett told me a couple of years ago that they got the game off because they had major injuries. They had a lot of injury problems. And he told me they got the game off. And I knew that. And that's why I said, all right, I want Sky interviewing me on the pitch, when I went down. And they did. And the pitch was farcical. But then Sean went on the internet having a little bit of a dig at their players.
The famous video.
Oh my goodness me! And so of course we played Derby, and they're all fired up because of this video, and they ended up beating us, didn't they? I mean, they shouldn't have beat us. They shouldn't have beat us, but we conceded sloppy goals, and so it put it all on. And I thought, in fairness to Sean, I think he knew he'd let the lads down doing that. But then we went to Hull City after that. And out of nowhere, don't ask me why, that Sean Morrison, centre half, he's running through and scoring a great goal at Hull City. It just almost felt like he had to do that after what he did against Derby. Incidentally, Sean's coming to the show as well. He's coming to the show, so I'll get him up on stage as well. I'm sure he's got a few stories in that year. So it was, but it was, I thought at Hull City that we were going to go up. Everybody thought. It
felt like that.
I don't know if you remember, but just coming back to me now, Fulham played Friday night before we played Saturday. They should have. The other team, I can't remember who they were playing against, but the other team should have had 2 penalties. It was a disgrace. It was an absolute disgrace. And Fulham ended up winning the game. So we had to get a result against Hull. And so it made it even more difficult. So when we won against Hull, I thought to myself, we can do this now. This is it now. That was the result for me of the season that reassured everyone that, yes, we've had a little bit of setback, but we can carry it through now. And I thought we did. And really beating Hull, I thought that killed Fulham. Because I think Fulham, I think it knocked the stuffing out of Fulham, that. Because they knew they shouldn't have won that game on the Friday night. And then for us to beat Hull, who that season had beaten all the top 5 teams at home. They've got a great record at home.
Yeah.
And the fans that night at Hull, I can hear them now. The noise they made at Hull was unbelievable, the Bluebirds. And it just seemed to, it was almost like something out of the theatre at Hull. It was sort of planned. And then, I can see the lads now running over to the fans at the end of the game and the euphoria, and it was really that was the special night for me, the Hull City one.
Yeah, I when Sean scores that second goal, the noise from the fans, I can still hear it now. It's like it breaks the speakers. It's so loud.
Yeah, it was. And you can't, unless you were there, you can never sort of try and explain what it felt like. It was unnatural. It was not natural. It was like the decibels were everywhere, weren't they? And the noise, volume. Not just the players, but the relief for the fans as well. You could almost see the sigh of relief from all the fans that were in that stadium that night. And I'm sure that would be a journey home to remember for a lot of the fans.
Or forget, depending on how much they drank.
Yeah, that was. I think a lot of Cardiff fans still hark back. That's probably the best away end they've ever been in, because I went to that game myself, and I think you touched upon it there. I think it was the sense of a relief where it became real that day. I think as soon as that second goal goes in, it was that kind of, it dawned on you. It was like, oh, it's happening. It's happening. Yeah. So it was a fantastic day. And
because of that, I've got goose pimples now talking.
I've got goosebumps thinking about it.
And it was just the way everything had panned out. That everybody expected Fulham. Their wage bill were massive. They had some great players, and then they wouldn't go away, but we wouldn't go away, and so over that 48 hours where they should have got beat, but they won for whatever reason, putting more pressure on us, and seeing our lads come out and play against that pressure, and even and like Sean, like you said, when he scored that goal, I couldn't believe. I had to look twice to see who it was, but in a way, I thought it was poetic justice, because he'd put us through the Derby County thing, and I think he owed us all one of those.
It's funny because I think the Derby County video and the Hull goal are probably two of the most memorable moments from that season, but obviously for very different reasons. And it's interesting to hear how they combine together, because I hadn't made that link. Yeah,
blinking. I could never forget that link, because I remember saying, "What have you done, Sean? Stirred it all up." All their lads were up in arms, and wait till you come up and play the game, and But anyhow, not to worry, it all turned out well.
Jumping slightly ahead to then that Premier League season, obviously it's probably something you've talked about and something you could still talk about forever. But obviously there's a lot of focus on refereeing decisions at the moment, but that Chelsea decision is probably the most memorable moment from the end of that season. Obviously, your reaction spoke for itself on the day, but do you still hold anger over that? Because, I mean, as Cardiff fans, anytime there's a VAR decision, we talk about that decision because it still rankles with us so much. But I wondered if it was the same for you, if it still kind of keeps you awake at night, shall we say?
I don't think there's many days that I don't think about it. If I'm told, I can tell you now. Greg Pawson, referee, Ed Smart, the linesman. I'll never forget his name, Ed Smart. And I remember going into his room, and he sat down there, and I remember saying to him, "Why did it's so obvious he's offside."
Yeah.
I got slightly blocked, and I said, "But you don't get paid to do that. Such an important game." And I remember him saying, "Well, and it didn't seem." And I just said to him, "You ought to come and walk in my dressing room now and see those lads, the desolation that you've caused by not doing your job, because we're going to get relegated now." And and that goal would have kept us up. We'd have won that game. And I looked at him and I thought, well, what chance have you got, really? So I've been saying about VAR since then. And but what a mess it is, isn't it? I mean, dear me. I mean, VAR, until they get rid of referees or they have other people that have played the game in Stockley Park, I'm afraid we're going to get this. And you can't celebrate a goal now, can you?
No,
you can't. I mean, where is it now? I mean, the Coventry Man United Cup game. You can't tell me that's offside. 100%.
Oh, I know.
Coventry's goal. If that was at the other end, that would have been a goal. I don't agree with that, mate. So VAR, they'll have to change. I feel sorry for Howard Webb, but they'll have to get people in that's played the game. Sorry.
So I was going to say it's a good idea, isn't it? But it's badly implemented. Is that the kind of view? Yeah.
That's exactly very, very nicely put, that young man.
Working comms. The one final question on kind of your time at Cardiff. I think we touched upon a lot just then, but obviously, is there one moment that was your favourite part about managing Cardiff? And I think we've talked about you bringing the club back together, and I think from a fan's point of view, we'll always be grateful to you for kind of reuniting the club and then taking us on that journey that kind of gave us some of especially I can speak for myself in my lifetime, so the best experiences I've had as a Cardiff fan. But is there something that you hark back to that is that kind of like one moment as a Cardiff manager that stands out?
No, I think you've mentioned the main. I mean, I have to say the final whistle against Bristol City in the first game, because I knew how important it was for the two new lads, for the team that had not been doing so well against the local rivals who were expected to win that night. Really, I knew how important it was for the whole club to go forward. And so that was an important part. But Moz's goal against Hull, I knew we were going up then. But when that second goal went in, I knew we'd go up. And so that was a special time, really. I mean, there would have been other games. I've forgotten a lot of what went off. That we had all sorts happening, didn't we?
Yeah,
and so it was. There was such a good group of lads, an honest group of lads. What Joe Rolls is like. I mean, I think the game before I took over, he played left wing at Burton Albion. He said it. He played left wing, and I remember him saying to me, "They got beat 2-0, I think, at Burton Albion." And I watched the video, and I was saying to him, "Don't think you're a winger, pal, are you?" No, Gaffer. No, I don't think I am. I don't think. I said, "Well, you won't be playing on wing for me," And so the whole, and now they've changed the squad, haven't they? I mean, they've got some decent players. I've always loved Callum O'Dowda. He's always been one I'd love to.
A lovely footballer.
Love to have played. He's my kind of player. Always looking to do something positive. He's a little bit unfortunate with injuries, hasn't he? Really. But I've always loved him. I tried to sign Mete at the start of the season. I spent a lot of time on that, really. But he said in the end, he said that he felt the Cardiff project better, and all credit to him. I mean, I only managed 5 or 6 games, so it was the right decision for it. I told him it's a good club. I said it's a good club. You'll enjoy it. I like the young lad Ruben. I like Colwell. I think I'd love as a manager to have a go at motivating Ruben to do a bit more, because he's got so much in. He's got so much in his locker. I feel there could be more to get out of him. So I'd like to have had a go with him. I think McGuinness and NG are steady Eddies. I don't think there's a lot wrong, and I know Callum Robinson works hard up front and that area. So, and it's not, it's not been a bad position to finish in. You've not been threatened with relegation. You've not quite got there. There was one stage I thought you could have got in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you lost a couple on the trot, and then it was always going to be round about 10th, wasn't it? Where did you finish up?
It was 12th in the end.
Well, but, it's a lot worse. I don't know, and I don't know what's going to happen with the manager, but I met him and had a good chat with him. And I have to say, I thought he was very, very nice, very, very nice to talk to. And you could see the frustrations at times. Are you with me? But that's what we're all like that when we're in a job. You've got the frustrations and you've got to deal with certain things and what have you. But I liked him. I thought, decent guy and got a chance really. And I know the lads like him, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to have bought into it. Go on, Tom.
You touched on Errol there, and it's still a bit up in the air with the managerial situation. It's not quite nailed down yet. And did you ever have situations like this going into a season? And how did it affect like the prep for the season ahead? Potential signings, planning, pre-season tours. What was it like as a manager in a situation like this?
I don't think I've ever had a situation like that. I think I've always known I'm going to be there. Are you with me? Or I've gone already. I don't think I've had a situation like this, if I'm honest. I'm sure between them, they'll probably know what's going to happen now, and I'm sure they'll announce it, whenever it feels the right time. Really, I'm personal. I hope he stays because I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him become successful, really. But you just don't know in football.
Yeah, we've just got a couple more questions here, so we'll keep you for about 5 more minutes, and then you can get on with your day. I guess obviously looking ahead to talking more about you as a person. You've been in football a long old time. You've managed all over the country and all that kind of stuff. But you've kind of worked through football before social media and now during social media, and you've become a bit of kind of like a social media celebrity. And I just wondered how, there's so many different videos of you kind of, when you're speaking to Muscat, that's from Muscat in London. You've got the disciplined, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about being a kind of, you call it a meme, whatever it is, but this kind of new age social media celebrity? I think it's great. I mean, some of those videos are hilarious.
I mean, when I went to St Andrews to watch the golf last year, and we were up in a box and between the 16th and 17th or so, the players came down in front of us, and then they teed off to the next one round this hotel and because after every group had gone over, the fans would come over the let them across. The number of, I didn't realise, but the number of groups of boys, lads, I'm talking teenagers, early 20s and that. Are you with me? You've got to die for 3 points, and I put my thumbs up and that. I never envisaged anything. I do enjoy it. Like I did a golf one with my son. My son's a good golfer now, and we did a one with Jimmy Bullard with the
on
the
YouTube.
Tubes one. Yeah. And I said, listen, I'll do it, but I've got to be myself because I tee off the fairways, And if it's a difficult lie in a bunker, I'd probably put a tee down as well, And I go off the ladies' tees. So it's. But we had a really good laugh, and I think what I'd like to think is that I do make people smile, and that's what I try and do. Really, there's enough bad stuff around, isn't there? I like to try and make people smile, and the social media bit. I mean, my son William, he enjoys it, because it's entirely different to him. He's such a good player. He's like poetry in motion when I watch him. I caddied for him last week. I caddied for him.
No teeing off the fairways for him.
I only just made 18. I only just made 18 holes. So you get a bit old for that there.
We want to do kind of a couple of quick fire kind of questions, and then we'll just come back and touch on the tour at the end, so you can give that a proper plug at the end. So we had sort of 5 quick fire questions. We wanted this or that. So we've got Sean Morrison or Sol Bamba.
Oh, neither. I wouldn't have either of them.
We got Ronnie Jepson or Kevin Blackwell.
I wouldn't have either of them. I can't pick between either of them.
Vincent Tan or Mehmet Dalman.
Well, obviously Mehmet. Vincent.
There we go.
He was always there, Vincent, but I did have a lot of dealings with him because it was Mehmet that took the workload off him really.
Umar Nias or Robert Glatzel.
Unai what?
Nias, the striker we had on loan from.
Oh, Niassi.
Yeah, Niassi. Sorry, I never know how to say his name.
And who? Glatzel.
Yeah.
Dear me, there's not much between them, isn't there? I've never seen anybody like Niassi before. In fact, somebody mentioned him at Huddersfield, and I said no, thank you.
Did everything right until he got to the penalty area.
He wouldn't shoot.
Yeah,
I've never known anybody. He got ability. He could go past people, but when he got to the box, he never had a shot. He was past everything sideways, and we used to do it in training. Look, just shoot, just go. But when it come to a game, I've never known anybody like him. If I'm honest,
it's a fascinating footballer.
It's strange, really.
And then the final one, we had Peter Whittingham or Adel Tarabt.
Well, they were different players. Witts had a great brain on him. Which could do things. He made the game simple. When I was a young lad, I used to look at Bobby Charlton, people like that, and I used to think, oh, they don't run about, do they? Lazy, aren't they? But they're not lazy. They just move because they know where to go to pick the ball up to do things. Witts could put the ball on a sixpence. I mean, if you got a free kick around the box, you always thought you were going to score. Or corner kicks and that. He was a nice lad and all. It was such a tragedy that Adele was a bit of a likely lad. When I first met Adele, his first training session, it was a red hot day. He had black gloves on, and the guy said he's from Morocco, Gaffer, Tottenham. You'll get you the sack. You don't want to know him. But I took him on board, and it was at Cardiff that I knew we would get promoted when I was at QPR.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because I can see now Bellamy and, what's his name, the striker?
Bothroyd.
Jay, yeah. Who played for me as well. Those two.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a team then, didn't you? And you went in front twice, and Adele pulled 2 goals back. The second one, he took a corner, I can see it now. Took a corner shot, got it back. Come round, edge at box and top corner. Oh, my goodness. He could do anything, Adele. And I went with him for 1 year. I couldn't. And even now, he's still, I got him a great contract at Benfica on the strength of that. And then even last year, he texted me to say, I've never been fitter. And he did look fitter. But I texted him back, I can only manage you once, Adele.
Never again. And then just to round it off, obviously we'll come back to the tour. You're bringing your tour back to Cardiff. Obviously, so much happened at your club. What kind of things can people expect to hear? Obviously, we talked about Sean Morrison and Robert Page being there. Is there things that you're going to talk about the fans will not have heard before? Obviously, don't give too much away. We want people to buy tickets, but just the kind of things you're going to be covering.
Obviously, I've already been at Cardiff, so there'll be certain things about my life and my career, etc. But I thought it was good to get other people up there, like Rob Page and Mozzer and 1 or 2 other lads, just to have a chat with them and what they felt about Cardiff. Are you with me? And Rob, in Rob's case, Wales in general, because you never really get to listen to people like that in a relaxed sort of environment. You're always microphone up you know,
Yeah.
and it's always a question to get the answer that they want, isn't it? You know, so it's nice to relax, and they're good lads as well, nice lads. So it'll be interesting now, and there'll be a lot of new stories that people haven't heard.
Great. And then I don't know if this is something you're saving for your tour, but rounding off about Cardiff, do you have any regrets from your time with the club, or would you do something different this time around if you got another chance?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, the Emiliano was I don't think anybody realised how much damage that did to everybody, because we, you know, having met him and all the lads met him, you know, everybody still has the thoughts, and you know, I do think that if we'd have had him, we'd have stayed up, you know, but that's all because we weren't far away. I know the VAR against Chelsea, but you know, I'm sure he would have contributed, you know, the goals wise, because I think he was the second or third highest goal scorer in the European leagues at that time.
Yeah.
So it's I mean that will never go away. That was probably the most difficult moment in my career, really. But no, I think every time you go to a club, you have when you leave it, you have regrets or you have memories or what have you. But you know, I can see Vincent now on the shoulders, running round on the pitch, going round on his face, and I know. Listen, it's hard for an owner, but I know that he wanted the club so much to do well. Are you with me? But to see his face being carried around on that, you know, that last game, I thought was really, really special. That, and you know, I just feel the open top bus ride. You know, never forget that. Round everybody turned out in the thousands, didn't they? It was
amazing.
Around every corner, it was somebody different, and things like that you never forget. So I've got great memories, and always, you know, it's always
the Ayatollah,
isn't it?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the Ayatollah. It's one of the most unique things, because wherever you go, if you see another Cardiff fan, you can just go like that, and they instantly know who you are. It's brilliant. Well, that's us, Neil. So honestly, it's been a privilege talking to you. You know, not to be a gushing fan, but
will you get down to the show?
Yeah, we're coming down to the show. We're talking to is it Steve from the Vale, who's kind of involved from your side.
Come earlier, you know. Come earlier and have a chat before the show. You know,
that'd be fantastic.
Invited guests then. So yeah, look forward to seeing you both.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you too. Again, thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant talking to you.
Cheers, Ben.